Okay, here we are, Assetto Corsa Competizione, and I thought we'd have a look at it in the dark and then in the wet. So I'm in the Bentley in the dark, and I wanted to see if this new bunch of VR settings would look any different in different conditions. And what I can tell you so far is this is looking extremely crisp, but it just seems in the headset, it just seems a bit weird, this darkness effect right in front of my car. So the car for this is a Bentley. We are at the Nurburgring. I started off in 5th. And it's really annoying because, again, I haven't seen a way to get the data on my head-up display onto the screen for you to see. So what that invariably leads to is at certain points in the race, me just staring at corners of the screen, and I'm checking out my race position or the track map or stuff like that, and you have no clue why I'm just looking away from the middle of the screen. Anyway, it just has this weird sheen on the display that I'm looking at. What's interesting as well is I want to see the cars behind me in my mirror, because at some point they disappear but the headlights are still there. So this Mercedes isn't far enough away really, so we'll just bounce through the chicane there. When we get in the start finish straight, hopefully I'll be able to see what happens to the car behind. So here we go, it's there, headlights are there, the car goes, headlights stay there for a second and the headlights finally vanish. So that's a little bit odd. Anyway, down to the braking zone. The road just seems to have this little waxy effect on it. Now, the frame rate isn't actually too bad. When I'm moving my head, that's when I get a lot of stuttering, but when I'm actually just watching the car go and the car's in front, now it's a lot better, a lot smoother, when it's still not silky smooth, but it's playable. You got some nice lighting effects you can see in the car there as we're going past some of the floodlights, but what is important to remember is that some parts of this track aren't actually lit at all. I mean, we're coming up to a corner. Once we've done this Schumacher S's, we do a left, and from that point on the real track should actually be in complete darkness. So yeah, just checking my thing. So here we go, look, yeah, there's no floodlights here, this is okay. So any lights on the inside of my car now should be from the car behind. The car's vanished in the mirror. Yeah, all this bit is completely in darkness, so that's accurate. Some games like Project Cars 2, they keep areas of the track floodlit, and it's not accurate. When you get out to the extremities away from the stadiums, then yeah, the thing is actually not floodlit at all.
Well done, mate. Personal fastest now.
It's quite tricky to tell when the car in front is braking. You can't really see the brake lights at a distance on the back of the car. What I find is better is you find the reflection on the road. There it gets brighter, see? Right, now this is alright. I mean, again, there's a little bit of jaggediness. That's a new word, I've just invented that. But it's not impossible to judge where your braking zone is or where you should be turning in.
We are halfway through, keep it up.
So I'm going to say then that this VR fix, when you're racing in the dark, is actually alright. Yeah, it's acceptable. I still don't like this mirror business. I mean, it doesn't help that the mirror on this Bentley is absolutely huge. It's probably the size of the Mercedes behind me. If you were to take it out and lay it side by side, you could probably park the Mercedes on top of the mirror. It's just so big. I'm going to do the wet race in a minute, and I'm going to do that in a Lamborghini, and the Lamborghini doesn't have a rear mirror because it hasn't got any rear windows, so you just have to use the side mirrors. So I'm in third at the moment. Will we get a chance to draw up and pass the Lamborghini? Maybe. At the end of this straight, we'll see how his braking is. So there's still a little bit of stuttering here and there, but because most of the environment is in darkness, there we go. Dive bomb. Because most of the track is in darkness, it doesn't have to draw a lot. See, I need to look down and just check the track map to see the relative position of the others, and just check out, just check out how long the race is left. So we've really only got a couple of laps at most. But I am actually enjoying this. This is alright. Again, it's not perfect, but it's nice to know that actually, when it works really well. Watch out for that Lambo, because it does like to take the inside line on that corner. So in a minute I'll do a wet race. Things to consider for that, obviously the braking distances and more. I'm definitely not going to do it in the Bentley, because what I have noticed, specifically on this track, it's much more pronounced, is the Bentley don't half understeer. Cool. So in the wet, you really don't want a massively understeering car, because you're just going to go in a straight line. There's no point at all. See, here it's doable with a car that understeers. You can kind of get it right, but in the wet, no chance. I mean, there's obviously going to be a fix for the understeer, because you can go into the setup and tinker with your roll bars, your dampening, but I just can't be bothered at the moment, because I'm not playing this game in any great volume. There's no real point in me going and start tinkering with the setup. So now I've got an Audi behind me. It was a Lamborghini I went past, wasn't it? So the Lamborghini's fallen behind this Audi, and the understeer here is a bit of annoying, because you need to be quite tight to the inside of that corner so you don't drift out. Anyway, let's keep the Audi behind me. Shouldn't be impossible. Oh. No, it's okay. He's had a look, but space isn't there. little bit of frame rate drop there coming through the S's. You really need to have a good sense of the track and the lines in the dark. Are we going to see him disappear? No, he's keeping the pace, brakes on.
Right, man, leader is on the final lap, give it all you can.
Right, floor it. Oh, well that's odd, isn't it? It said the leader was on the final lap, but as soon as I crossed the finishing line, it just said, oh, that was it, end of the race. So the leader wasn't on the final lap at all. The leader had finished. Anyway, there we go. It's killing the car and it's bringing us to a stop. So that was all right. Enjoyed that. Let's have a look at the wet.
Okay, the race is about to start. Hold your position until the green flag. Watch
Right.
out in the first corner.
So here we are in the wet. We are 9th, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 9th. And I'm in the Lamborghini. So there's no rear view mirror. So without that to draw, that might be better. But what we have lost in the rear view mirror, we've gained in rain and spray. And the spray looks very pretty. I mean, this is only light rain. I haven't gone for medium. Let's all got a good start here. Got a bit of a toe. Let's get past the Ferrari because I've had all sorts of problems with the AI Ferraris. So brakes on about now. Down, 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 down. Don't hit the Lambo. No, we're okay. So we've managed to bring it through the first corner okay. Let's get up to second. But we've got to really watch our speed because the rain is just a nightmare. But this is light rain, so it's not so bad. Come down the first. Just watching out. So there's a little bit more of a frame rate issue in the wet here. But again, it's not that noticeable in the actual driving of the car. Graphically, it's okay. Down the second. Hug the inside. Try and catch up with the guys in front. So I've made up some places. Try not to get on the curbs too much because they're going to be slippery. Also, the difference here is where the Bentley was a right-hand drive, this is a left-hand drive. Let's really stay off these curbs. And even though the Lambo wants to shift into a higher gear much quicker, I'm going a bit slower. So there's no real understeer with this car, that's good, but there is bags of oversteer, so I have to just bear that in mind. And the cars in front have kind of gone already, but I'm in 4th. So let's just see if I can keep in 4th. So it's just a little bit of judderiness coming around that corner. I'm going to be honest, this the race engineer in my radios is rubbish. I have to see if I can turn him off. Not as annoying as when you are in the pause menu and it plays this, it seems to be like a post-race interview or a post-qualifying interview on a Formula 1 race with what I think is Max Verstappen being interviewed by possibly Martin Brundle, and it's just teeth-pullingly bad. Get rid of that. Just have some light music playing over it, or some garage sounds, air guns going off, that sort of thing. But interviewing Maxima, why are we looking at F1 drivers in a game which has nothing to do with F1? Completely irrelevant. You may as well have Prime Minister's questions from Parliament or something. It's just completely irrelevant. But graphically this is alright. Again, the dark, I had it in the dark. I tried a quick one with sort of late afternoon, evening, but the rain just has a funny look to it in the daytime. It looks just odd on the windscreen. It looks much better at night time, so I changed back to night time. I really wanted to do the daytime to see how much the graphics would suffer having rain and the spray and a bit more of the background to draw in. But it just looks odd on the windscreen, the rain, so I thought we'll go back tonight. We know that it performs pretty well in the night. Let's give it a little bit of a test, and it's not too bad actually.
Well done, mate. Personal fastest lap.
It's just now, obviously you've got to temper your driving style, so I'm in a lower gear and I'm braking a little bit earlier, getting down to first nice and early so I can make that corner, don't get anybody cutting on the inside. So I'm holding fourth relatively well, down to first. But the only way you're really going to test it is at the Nurburgring, because it's the only place where you can consistently get some sort of speed up. Misano is just an absolute, just rubbish, garbage track. Okay, not long really to go, just a couple of laps. And there's actually a bit of a gap behind me now. I seem to have pulled out a little bit of a gap to the car behind, and there's a gap to the car in front, so I'm kind of on my own now. I can just feel the force feedback apparently has been improved. I can't really tell the difference, to be honest. I mean, Gamer Muscle was saying that there was definite lag, and can't remember who it was. It could have been Sim Racing Pad, or it could have been William, who said, do you know what, he might be onto something. I can't tell it. I'm not in the same bracket as those guys as drivers, but you can sort of feel a little bit when the car is going, when the slip is going. I haven't turned on my transducers for this. Now, Sim Experience, the Sim Vibe software, has updated with a profile for Assetto Corsa Competizione, so I'm going to have to try that out. Crew Chief hasn't caught up yet, and I could really do with Crew Chief, because the AI in this is, as I mentioned before, it's not very AI. It's sort of artificial stupidity more than artificial intelligence. Even when you turn it down a bit, it still does really stupid things, like sitting behind a spun car without trying to go around it, or seeing you ahead of it to the right or left and still making a move and spinning you off. Yeah, we're okay here. There's no threat from behind. I'm no threat to in front. Let's just enjoy the rest of the race, really. So maybe behind they've had some sort of spin and everybody's just sat there and watched for a bit. But this is alright, you know. Of the three main experiences I've had of this game in VR, since the improved VR tweaks that go into the engine.ini file, this has definitely improved it. It improved it in the dry and the clear, and in the dark it's been quite good, and in the wet and the dark it's been quite good. So I'm pretty impressed now. This isn't a chore to drive. I just need to release some sort of optimization for when the game is in the daytime. But in the dark, if you can drive the tracks in the dark and you're quite happy driving in the dark, then great, you know, you got yourself a game.
Yellow flag ahead.
I do much prefer driving the Lamborghini to the Bentley. The Bentley is much more sorted, but the Lamborghini is a much better car. The game does that as well. It said yellow flag ahead. I mean, I'm fourth. There's obviously a yellow flag, something happening somewhere, but it's not right in front of me. So it might not even be in the same sector. So this ultra conservative warning about the yellow flag is a bit stupid. Really, again, we need to get crew chief working with this. But I must try it with the transducers. I really must try it with the SimVibe profile, because I'll be interested to see how it relates to the rear wheels. I can hear the rear wheels are slipping, and I can sort of feel the car skid a bit under some corners, because this is a little bit more like a go-kart than the Bentley. So some of the corners, especially in the S's, I can feel that the car is sliding left and right, and you can judge it okay. It's not a catastrophe, but it'd be interesting to see how it feels through the transducer, the base pucks. So here I can feel slight slipping as I was coming through the first corner of the S's. So we're not that far from the end of the race. It's should be this lap. Absolutely nothing behind me. It's just been good, you know. So in the dark and the wet, you've definitely got yourself a tidy little game here at the moment. It looks very crisp. The VR is working fine. It's unfortunate we haven't had more cars to test it on this. See what happens when it really gets put under a load. So fourth place there. Started 9th, finished 4th. Overtook a load in the first corner and just stayed there. Just pulled away from the back and didn't catch up to the front. Again, stops you here. So that was good. I enjoyed that. Let's see how it happens with more evolution of the game. So again, until next time, thanks for watching.